Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. Today we're going to continue our conversation about trauma, but I'm going to turn this just a little bit and kind of bring in some personality pathology. Again, what we're going to focus on and zoom in on is the trauma responses that you may have seen in yourself or somebody else who has dealt with a narcissist. Now, you know, narcissism is thrown around today like, it's some kind of, piece of candy. You know what I mean? Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody acts like a narcissist, But I like to focus all my videos on the clinical aspects of narcissism. So I really try to bring things down to a place where you guys can see that, oh, this is the clinical narcissist, not the narcissist that is self-centered that I see down the street. This is actually a clinical pathology. So in today's video, I'm going to highlight the trauma responses that you may be exhibiting in response to the clinical narcissist. So let's jump in. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys, in this video. And thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For those who are new, I encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stick around with us and become a part of our growing and our validating community. And in case you don't know who I am, my name is Tamara, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist, but I'm also licensed in mental health, and I specialize in treating children, teens, families, as well as adults within private practice, my private practice, who are dealing with trauma. Let's jump in. Trauma is, as I talked about in the previous video on trauma, it's a complicated topic, but there's a lot of people in this world who have experienced trauma, and it's not always, like I said in the previous video, a natural disaster, an assault, domestic violence, a terrible car crash. Sometimes it's just the simple fact that you are in a relationship with somebody who has narcissistic behaviors or a clinical pathology. Over the past month or past couple of weeks, I've been talking about character pathology, which is just a clinical word that describes an individual who has a personality disorder or some kind of disordered character that controls how they behave, think, and feel. And because of that character pathology, they don't have the ability to be the flexible, understanding, healthy person they need to be to relate to others in a healthy way. These individuals are very toxic, they are very inflexible, and they are very manipulative. And trying to live a life with them, as I discussed right up here in this video, is really, really hard. So, you can become traumatized just trying to deal with these kind of people because of the things that they put you through. I think just the act of second guessing yourself every time you deal with that narcissist can be traumatizing. The simple fact that you are constantly, second guessing concrete facts and things that you know to be truth is traumatizing, right? The fact that you second guess at all things that you know is right is a problem, and it's traumatizing, right? Their behavior, the narcissist, their behavior has a way of disrupting the foundation that you stand on. They have a way of disrupting your truths. And that's the number one key factor when you're dealing with a narcissist. They disrupt the foundation that you have built, and they disrupt your foundational truths. That's who they are. So how did they traumatize you? Here's a couple of ways. Now, I've taken some things from research. I've taken some things from my practice. I've taken some things from colleagues to put in this video for you. I'm going to highlight a couple of things that happens. The number one thing that I have seen, and I see this in my practice all the time, is that a narcissist, here's a trauma response, they will push you to snap or lose your patience. Now, if you have been traumatized by the narcissist in your life, a parent, a coworker, a sibling, a spouse, they have already disrupted your foundation. They have already spun your world into chaos, and they have already taken over your world and tried to navigate it themselves, right? So you've already been harassed and traumatized by this person. Now you are trying to live life from that drastic a series of events that this narcissist has caused in your life, right? You're trying to rebound from all of that chaos. So now you are out of that, or perhaps you're trying to get out of it, and something they do every single time, something they do just sends you sailing. Like you can't control yourself. And sometimes that's losing your patience and snapping. It's really hard to try to keep a level ground with somebody who's so wishy-washy, with somebody who's so controlling, somebody who's so unstable psychologically, somebody who will say and do anything to disrupt your balance is really difficult to deal with, right? So you can lose your patience and you can really snap. And that doesn't do anything but further reinforce that they're in control. So try not to do that, because what you're doing is showing them that they've got you, that they're in control of you. And that's what they want all along. So don't give them that. But that's the number one thing that I see in my practice, and I see with all kind of people that I talk to around the world regarding narcissism, is that once you snap, you've lost your ability to deal with them, because they know they've got you. They know what buttons to push now. Okay. And sometimes they'll intentionally try it just to see how far they can get. And their number one tactic is minimizing and demeaning, and really putting limits on who you are as a person, or who you can be as a free-willed person. Okay. They crave that control, The next thing that I've seen is, wanting to retaliate and kind of getting even. That's another trauma response to these narcissists. Try to avoid that. No matter what you do in retaliation, you're not going to get the reaction, I'll say the reaction that you may be looking for. The narcissist is just going to get more angry. They're going to get more vindictive. They're going to get more evil. And they are going to try to get you back in a way that you may not expect. So why pick that battle, right? Why pick a fight you know you can't win? Leave it alone and move on to the next person. Because really, this is the way you need to conceptualize most narcissists. They are small. They are needy. They're insecure, and they're incapable. And if you perceive them that way, if you see them that way, then whatever they do to you, you can rise above it and keep moving, because you know something's wrong with them at the core of who they are, right? They have a character pathology. So if you can move past that and move on to the next thing and to the next person and the next important level of your life, you don't have to deal with that narcissist. And you can hold that narcissist over there while you live your life over here. And so that's the control that you want. You want control of yourself. You don't want to retaliate. And you want control of them in a sense. And the way you control them is not to give in. Don't retaliate. It's not worth it. You're stooping to their level and you're feeding them. You're not getting them back. Keep that in mind. The next thing is generalizing relationships with this narcissist, or the relationship with the narcissist, onto other relationships. The one thing you want to keep in mind is that this is a trauma response. Once you have lived a life with a narcissist, you kind of perceive all relationships through that lens, right? So you want to be careful that you're not generalizing onto other relationships, because once you generalize, you've lost. Because now you're not open to healthy relationships. You're not open to other relationships that could actually build you up in life, because you're afraid. So watch generalization. That's another trauma response to a narcissist. The next thing is mental filtering with family and friends. So here's what I mean. Mental filtering is a thinking error. And I talk about thinking errors right up here in this video if you want to learn a little bit more about them. But thinking errors are basically this. They are skewed ways that we think of reality, and they have a way of influencing us in negative ways. Okay? Thinking errors, skewed ways that we look at reality, right? It's kind of messed up, and it's based on what you're feeling, not necessarily rational thinking. So when you mental filter, here's what you're doing. You're looking at family and friends, and you're seeing them from the lens of the narcissist. You're saying you are connected to the narcissist. We have equal friends, right? We share friends. We share a friend group. We share family members, right? Some people who have been married for years, they're still family members and still friends with the husband's family or the wife's family, even after divorce, right? So you're still connected in some way. And in most joint custody situations, you're connected, right, with that narcissist. Let's say if you're married or getting divorced, for example, or dating. What you don't want to do is filter out all the good things from the family and friends that you both shared and just look at all the negative things. Because once you do that, you're going to lose your support system. So you don't want to mental filter. You want to make sure that you keep that narcissist in his or her place, right? By keeping a firm, appropriate view of who they are, while also maintaining those connections that you both have. If that makes sense? I hope that's clear. Let me know if it's not in the comment section below. All right. The next thing is battling in court, right? or battling in some legal way, don't go there with the narcissist. It's not even worth it. They will go so far as to forge your name, impersonate you, try to hire people to get back at you. They will maybe possibly try to get you fired on lies. They will tell lies straight to the judge. They will do whatever they need to do, whatever maneuvering they feel that they need to do to gain the power, they will do. Don't battle them in court if you don't have to. I think the best way to battle them is to be non-existent in their world. Don't give them any meat, right? Watch, calling them on the phone or talking to them on the phone. Watch sending email or any kind of written correspondence to them, because they will use it against you, right? Watch giving them details about your personal life or your new marriage or your new relationship or your new home or your new address. Try to stay away from all of those things and really become non-existent in their life as much as possible. Only give them the bare necessities of the information that you need to give them. All right. The next thing that's a trauma response is feeling compelled to prove yourself. You don't have to feel compelled to prove yourself. Just be you. The narcissist is going to hang themselves. Their number one MO is to try to gain social favor. But here's where they go wrong. They forget the patterns that they create over time, and they forget the footsteps that they've left in the past because of their behavior. Let them hang themselves. You don't have to prove yourself. The next thing, is acknowledging your PTSD, not acknowledging your PTSD, That's another trauma response, right? Coming out of a relationship with a narcissist and saying, hey, I'm good, nothing's wrong with me, I'm fine, is not true. A narcissist destroys everything in its path, right? He, she, whatever, if it's a female, a male, if they're a narcissist, they're going to destroy everything. And so, the way my great grandmother used to call a narcissistic person was a fool. She used to say, that's a fool for you, even though I don't encourage those words. But she used to say that. She'd be like, that's a fool for you. That's how they behave. And the way she defined a fool was like a pattern of behavior over time where they usually come to the end of their foolishness and they hang themselves. So, when you've been in the realm with a fool or a narcissist or whatever you want to call them, just know that you're most likely going to experience some kind of PTSD or some kind of symptoms as a result, okay? So a trauma response that's typical is not acknowledging that maybe you have PTSD and maybe you have depression and maybe you have anxiety because you have been dealing with a very foolish person for a very long time, okay? Acknowledge it, don't hide it. And last but not least, is keeping them on a leash in your life. Usually this is when the relationship has been codependent or unhealthy, or you're a dependent personality, or you're an avoidant personality. You just stay locked in with them. Maybe somewhere in your heart you've been pulled into the toxicity of who they are and how they live and how they think and feel. And so somehow you still have these ties to the narcissistic person. Cut them off. The faster you cut them off, the better. Don't allow them to hang on to you and continue to control and manipulate and harm you, Some people can't walk away, especially in joint custody situations or in situations where divorce is impossible, or a situation where there's a power differential, where somebody has more power than you. I do get that. So you want to be wise on how you kind of step back and cut them off and walk away. But if you don't have to have them on a leash in your life, don't. Narcissists are poisonous, and they have a way of traumatizing you. The way you think, the way you behave, the way you see your life, the way you see your future, they have a way of poisoning you. Don't fall for it. Don't allow it. Cut it off. It's not healthy for you. So, the way that you want to deal with the trauma that a narcissist leaves behind is you want to get knowledgeable. You want to seek out your own psychotherapy with a good therapist who gets it, right? Not any old kind of therapist. A good therapist that gets it. You also want to be able to monitor yourself and say, is there a part of me that needs this drama, that needs this narcissistic selfish person? And if there is, how do I work my way out of that bind? Because I don't need to be attached to this, right? So you want to develop that self-awareness. You want to get away from the narcissist the best you can, provide only the minimal information that they need to know in your life to them, and stay safe. Stay safe and separate is what I'm trying to say. So, you want to be able to build those boundaries around yourself when you're dealing with somebody like this, and you may be experiencing PTSD. It's possible. don't forget it. You can experience PTSD as a result of dealing with a narcissist. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys, in this video. I encourage you to hit that thumbs up and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and bell button so you can always know when I post new videos. Let me know in the comment section below if this video was helpful and if you've experienced this. I know I have in many capacities, so no shame in that. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.